This is the spring holding pond that my friend John helped me build. I've got a bunch of video I still need to edit and put together for it. But we got this put in. This is all capturing spring water. We had to clear a path for the tractor to come through these trees, so we got to use the chainsaw and move the tractor back here, use the backhoe to dig this all out. But it's holding spring water pretty good. So my next thing I have to work on that I'm doing now is moving my trash pump from the lake over here. I want it to be higher up on the hill because I know in the springtime water comes gushing down here and down here where the two springs feed into this little holding pond. So I want this higher up on the hill, but I want my strainer to be at the low point of this holding pool here. So I moved the pump over here. That took some work. I took the suction pipe that used to go into the lake, which is this. This is the quick disconnect that goes to the trash pump that I was just showing. But this long 30 feet of 2-inch PVC is what was going out into the lake. This was sitting on the floor of the lake, and that was holding the strainer about 2 feet, a little less than 2 feet off the bottom of the lake. So now I need to figure out the right way to cut this, because I'm not going to need all 30 feet. And I want to reuse as many parts as I can. If I had designed it right, I really don't need this much anymore. So if I had designed it right and left a little more space in between here, that's where I would cut the pipe, because I want to keep this. This is my one-way valve that keeps the prime in the pipe, so it lets water go in but not out. Strainer I want to keep on there. I need to wash it down. It's kind of gunky. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is just cutting it right in front of this joint. I've got some more connectors like this, at least one, maybe two. But that will allow me to shorten this to the right length and also put the right angle on this elbow that will be going to the trash pump. And then the other thing I had to do is reroute the pipe that goes up to my water tank. I went ahead and already went way up to the top of my tank, took out as much slack as I could because this is a little further away. So this is where my hose is now, and I have to get it to my trash pump over there. So I have a little more slack that I can maybe get out of here. I might have to cut some of the hose off of my inlet hose and put a little connector in here, some hose clamps, and use a little bit of that hose, or I could just buy some more. But that's my next step, is also running this to the pump. So with the big PVC pipe and the hose that goes up to the water tank, I need them both to be able to get to the trash pump. So I'm working on that. I'll provide some updates once I decide the best way to do it. Alright, I think I got it working. I brought a cinder block because I'm thinking about putting the strainer inside this bottom hole of the cinder block, just so that I don't think the tarp will get caught around it, but I can see the strainer pretty good, so I don't need to do that right away. But I didn't have to make any cuts. I just flipped this upside down, because if I put it right side up, then the strainer's too high out of the water. And I just moved my pump higher up the hill. And for this black 1-inch poly, which is what feeds the water tank, it had just enough room to make it to the pump up here. So I lashed it really good to this tree to keep it from putting any pressure If we come up here, you'll see that my valves and water filter all stick out quite a ways on the pump, and I didn't want heavy water pressure on this, so I might even add one more, tie it up to this tree. I probably will, but for now, that one is keeping it sturdy. I had to prime the pump, so I got a couple water jugs. I thought just taking the priming valve off and pouring water in there would do it, but that just primed the pump. It didn't seem like there was any going in here, so I took off the quick disconnect and poured about 2 gallons in this tube. Started it up. I got a bunch of pressure from this garden hose, so once the pressure built up, I opened the valve that pushes it up to my tank, let it run for a bit, then walked all the way up the hill to make sure the other end hadn't slipped out of the tank, and it looks like it is pumping water in there. So I'm going to start this back up again, do the same thing, make sure I build up pressure, then open this valve which pumps it 300 feet uphill, and I will walk over there and we will go make sure the water is flowing into the tank. So now that I know it's already primed, if you don't know that it's primed, you always want to check your prime before you start anything. And then on the trash pump, there's 2 valves here. This is the gas one. I turn that on. When you're not using it, you turn it off so gas doesn't go in the carburetor. And then this is the choke. I had to put it on before I started it. And the last switch to check is this one here. This is how you turn it off and on. So now it's on. I know the engine's already warm. Gas is on. This valve is off, so I need to open this one here so that the water has somewhere to go. So now the water should be shooting through this garden hose, and once the pressure builds up, then I open this valve here, close that one, and it forces the water 300 feet uphill. So we're going to try that now without getting my phone wet and see if we can get it going. Alright, that doesn't sound right. I think it needs to be primed again. Yeah, it's pretty dry in there. Alright, so we poured water in the prime. Put the cap back on. This one-way check valve shouldn't let water back down, so that I shouldn't have to do this every time, but alright, water's in there. I want to make sure this is closed, open. Adjust the throttle, we'll do it halfway. And then turn this on, start it back up. right, that's really loud. I was showing you the water filter so we can see the water's moving. So, that means the water should be pumping up to our tank right now. We checked the water level here, looks good. So we're gonna walk up the hill, make sure it's pumping into the tank. And it is much nicer walking up this hill now that we cleared that path with the trees for the tractor to get down there. I had cleared this other path when I first moved to the property for moving the water tank up the hill. But while it's a clear path, it's still a pretty steep hill. All right. You can hear it going in there. So that's good. And you see right now we're at 300 liters. We're just over 75 pounds or gallons. Last time I came up here, before I started this project today, I was at about 30 gallons. So I know it's working. Now it's just a matter of time letting it pump that fresh spring water up here. I know I'm pumping more water, so I already added a little bit of chlorine to my water. I think I added about 2 tablespoons because that's about all it takes for a whole tote of water. But since this is working, the last thing to do, I did the same trick here. I put these ropes on and they're under tension so that the hose doesn't slide out, because you see we're pretty tight. This pink one is the incoming hose. So that's a decent amount of weight on this hose. I should probably put another anchor to this tree like I did down there. But now the last thing to do is go monitor that little holding pond for the spring water. And once that starts to get low, I got to turn off my trash pump so it doesn't suck air. Duke kissing me the first time I came up this hill. He followed me. The second time he came halfway. This third time, he just waits at the bottom. He's gotten smarter. But right through here, this used to all be trash pile and some trees. But we cleared a path for the tractor to get down here, so it's much nicer walking through here. We still got plenty of water here. This tarp makes it look kind of small, but the water level actually goes back into this. So I'm just gonna go up there, monitor that see-through filter, make sure the water's flowing, because if the water stops pumping for some reason, that pump overheats real quick. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that, and that should be it for this video. Thank you, John. So I turned the throttle down, put the choke back on so I remember next time, turn off the gas. I already turned off the switch, so that's good. I turned off this valve. Looks like I need to tighten my ring here. But the flow was looking good through the filter. And the big thing I do is I just fill this pump. The motor gets hot, but this pump stays cool. It's pumping cold water. I overheated it one time. I guess I thought it was pumping uphill, but it didn't have enough pressure to pump uphill. So the pump was running, but not moving water, and it overheated and melted my drain cap. So I had to buy a new one of those. But I turned it off because if we come down to our new holding pond, I probably could have pumped just a little bit longer, but I didn't want to chance it. That's how much water is left. So I'm going to walk up the hill. I'll save you the walk up there, and I'll record up there. Hopefully we're close to 330 gallons. But I definitely have plenty of cold water up there right now. So I time it because from the lake it takes about 20 minutes to pump 330 gallons. So that's about how long I let it run. And I didn't want to suck air up the pipe. So I'll walk up there and see how full we are. All right. Up here we didn't quite get a full tote. But I ran it a lot lower than I usually do because it was about 25 gallons. But now we have probably 210 or 215. And it's closer to the top. That spring pool fills up pretty quick, so if I needed more I could pump more tomorrow, but this will last me several weeks. So mission accomplished for today.